Okay, I'm going to talk about airplane scale for a second. So, what scale is this airplane? All we know from Guillow is that it's a 24-inch wingspan kit. You know, a lot of the Guillow and Dumas kits, and a lot of kits in general, they give you that dimension and might, sometimes they approximate scale, but for the most part, you get a kit and it doesn't tell you that. It just gives you wingspan. So to determine scale, um, what how do we get there? So we know the actual Aeronca has a 35-foot wingspan. The kit has a 24-inch. This is 24 inches here. So um, if we know that the scale reference is 1 foot equals, in other words, 172 scale, it means that 1 foot equals 72 inches on the actual aircraft. 1/24th means that 1 foot equals 24 inches or 2 feet. 1/12th scale means that 1 foot equals 12 inches. 12 inches is one scale foot. So 1 inch to 1 foot. So I'm probably muddying the water here. So we have a 35-inch span. 35-foot span. And let's divide that by 18 for 1/18th scale. And multiply that by 12. And that would give us a 23-inch span, 23.3. And what we have is 24 inches. So it's a little bigger than 1/18th scale. Let's try 35 feet divided by 17 inches times 12, or 1 foot, and that's 24.7. So that's a little more than what we have. That's about 24 and 3/4 inches, and we're at 24 inches exactly. So the airplane falls between 1/17th and 1/18th scale. The oar that I carved is 3 inches long overall. So let's say that 3 times 17 equals 51 divided by... So it's about 4 1/4 feet long, a 4-foot long oar, which is about right. If you look at a typical oar, or if you think of it as being, 6-foot person holding a 4-foot oar, if you've ever swung an oar for any reason, you'd know that's about right. They're about 4 feet long, typically 4.5 feet, 4 feet long, depending on what they're used for, and on just to scull or push a sailboat around, or a seaplane around. 4 feet is about right. So that's how we arrived at the scale. Also, if we know that our airplane is between 1/17th and 1/18th scale, it tells us what size pilot figure to get. Useful information. What diameter wheels do we need? If that's not shown on the plan, we go to the specification of the actual aircraft, and we see what size wheels it has, and we convert that using our mathematics. And so then we know we're in the ballpark. We're doing, we're getting it right. So anyway, that's just a quick mention of how to determine scale, or how it works. 1 foot equals 72 inches. 1 foot equals 32 inches for 1/32 scale, and so on. So when you know what 1 foot is equal to, and you know what the actual measurement of the real life prototype is, or if you know conversely what the real life dimensions of your model are, then you can convert up or you can convert down, depending on what you need to know. Okay, that's just a quick thing about scale, how we determine it. What am I working on now? I fabricated the oar I just used components from the float set. One of the wood crossbars cut in half to make the shaft of the oar. And then the end of the oar, I just took one of the rudders, since I'm only using one. I used that same as a pattern to come up with the kind of a rough shape for the paddle portion of the oar, and then doubled it. You see I cut out another piece here and doubled that, and then just sanded it down, to a generic, paddle shape, and we thinned it out a little bit at the ends. It can use a little more thinning probably, but for what I'm using it for, I mean, it'll look good once it's just strapped to the float, probably in that location right there. So I'm going to be working up the brackets to install that with. I'll just be using clear acetate. What I'll do is just figure out how wide it needs to be by laying it over this and drawing it a pattern, almost a shovel shaped pattern, a square nose shovel shaped pattern onto this, and then we'll cut it out, make a few score cuts so that I can bend it around the paddle, and then the score cuts will be where it can be flattened out and glued. And obviously I'll be painting these silver to match the floats. We'll paint the brackets once they're fabricated. Drops of super glue, tack it right onto the float. Just a few other odds and ends to do. Still want to add the antenna wire. I still want to add the deck non-skid deck surfaces, and I'm still formulating how to do that. Well, I think it's just going to be strips. I keep saying that. I'm just going to go ahead and do that, I guess. And at that point, we should be ready. Should be done. All right, a little bit of touch up here and there, but anyway, the work continues a little bit longer.